Well, we love featuring artists that you should know about on the show. And today we're heading to Arkansas to chat with award-winning singer-songwriter Pamela Hopkins. Pamela is a multi-instrumentalist. She's a dueling piano player by trade and also leads her own band. Her debut EP came out in 2018, and she hasn't stopped. Her latest single, Walk of Honor, is out now. And we're excited to have Pamela Hopkins on the show. First, Pamela, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, man, I'm researching you. You have a very interesting story. You graduated college, you got married, so you decided, well, let's have the family. You went into law enforcement. You're a cop for 13 years. You go back to school to become a teacher. When did it, did you go see dueling pianos? How did you get involved in this?
Well, so I guess, when I was 19, I tried music, and then I just basically gave up. And so that's when I started, the path down law enforcement, and then became a teacher. And, music was calling my name again. It was kind of like, it's time to get back into music. Let's try it again. The world had changed as far as the internet goes, and you could do a little bit more research and that stuff like that. Well, we went to a dueling piano bar, which I loved to do whenever I was, in my younger days. I always thought it was fun, but, when the kids take over and you have to be doing ball games and, cheer and practices and music with them, you don't get much time to go out. So one night my husband and I, went out, and I was like, we hadn't been to a dueling piano bar in a long time. And so there was one in a town close to us, Conway, and we went in there. I was like, and I was watching the piano player's hands, and I was like, I can sing. I can do this. I can do this. And I got up on stage and talked to one of the guys, and I said, hey, do you mind if I sing a song with you? And of course they charge you for that. Yeah, there's a stage fee of $20. And I'm like, okay, cool. Here's my $20. I get up and sing. And he was like, well, girl, you got some pipes on you. And I said, well, I could play a little bit of piano too. And he was like, okay, come talk to me a little bit, because always trying to look for, more help or whatever and get people in the trade. And got to talking to that guy. His name was David Rosico. We're still really good friends today, today. And we're actually playing tonight together up in Rogers, Arkansas, at the new piano bar there. But he helped train me and stepped out of teaching and was able to replace my income doing dueling pianos, and then just haven't stopped, because from there you grow. And then I was like, I want to find my own sound. And so then I started writing music and putting out my own recordings, because we do all these covers. And I was like, well, I want to do something further. And that's kind of how that kind of progressed.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing. Multi-instrumentalist. You played cello in school, but you can also play the bass, harmonica, drums, piano. Music had to be always in your life somehow a little bit.
Well, so, grew up playing the cello, went to college on a cello scholarship in singing, gave that up. And I didn't touch an instrument literally until probably 12 years ago.
Wow.
I had a little bit of piano training in school because I went to a school for music and arts. It was a magnet school for, arts and music. And so we had to have a little bit of piano with whatever else we were doing. So, I played in the orchestra. So it was required that we had piano theory. And so I took 2 years of piano theory, which is how to read left hand, right hand, chord structure. But that was all I knew. And so 12 years ago when I started, going hey, I think I can do this. I've got a little bit of piano skills. I can tinker around. I'm not that great. I just started finding because I used to love to do karaoke, and I was like, I'm going to find the songs I already know how to sing and the easiest chord songs. And that's where I started with that, but gave it up. There was probably a good 15 years where I didn't touch an instrument. I just did karaoke,
Wow.
Just sang. So, yeah, but then picked it up and kind of self-taught from there,
Yeah. Well, I heard you say that you're more of a singer than a piano player, and most of these dueling piano artists are pianists that, can sing or they're more piano driven. So you probably bring a little different spin to it.
Well, I do. My right hand soloing skills aren't as good as most dueling piano players, but there's I could still do it, but because I've learned it over the years, because I've got 10 years in now, so my piano skills are way better than they were. And the funny thing is the audience never tell. It's you are so good. I'm like, I'm so not. If you're watching these other guys, no, I'm but I think. And we've had these discussions, dueling piano players have discussions, what does the audience hear first? Well, obviously they hear your voice first. So if you can sing, then your piano skills don't have to be as good as long as you're not chopping it up. You know, they don't really notice. And just, you know, even with time and all that stuff, you just naturally get better. And then, you know, all the guys that I've worked with have always been real helpful at, like, you know, let me show you how to do this. And so then you practice those little skills, and it just kind of comes along as you know, as you grow as a dueling piano player. So I can, you know, now when I started 11 years ago, I could sit down at a chart with chords and I could read it slowly. Now I can pull up a song and somebody requests it. I can sit there and as long as I'm familiar with the song, I can read it as I go. I can sight read it.
Wow.
So, you know, that skill has come along. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at somebody who's not, you know, into music, it's very impressive. But I'm like, well, it's kind of come with time. But at the same time, I'm not classically trained on the piano. I'm more classically trained as a vocalist because, you know, when I was in college, I took vocal lessons and did the opera and decided that was not the way I wanted to go. Like, no.
Man. Yeah,
so I just developed my own style, yeah.
Practice makes perfect, that's for sure. Your upcoming schedule, I mean, my jaw just dropped and hit the floor. She's in Rogers, Arkansas this weekend. Then you have a full band show coming up next week. Then you head to Alaska, and then you head to Hawaii, and then you head to Guam. I mean, you're doing a military tour. You have dates all the way through August already, Pamela.
Yeah, and then we've even booked some stuff in December as well. So we just booked a casino in Oklahoma in December. Yeah, I try to keep myself busy.
Yes, you do. Every weekend you're booked.
Right, I do that, and then I own a restaurant here in Arkansas too. So when I'm, you know, my days that I'm not working, I'm running the Angry Possum here in Newport, Arkansas, with my husband.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you're not working at the piano, you're working at the restaurant, because that's a full-time gig.
It is, and I'm lucky that I have a great staff that takes care of it, you know, and then my husband obviously too. So I'm there, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, and some Thursdays generally, and then usually Friday and Saturday. If I'm playing there, I'm, you know, there all week. If not, then, you know, they handle it on those other 2 days. And then we just got a food truck, so we were running that yesterday as well.
I don't know when she sleeps.
What is that?
Man.
Sleep, what is that?
Little Rock. Have you lived in Little Rock your whole life?
Yeah, except for like a very brief stint when I was a kid. I lived in Seattle for a little while, but that's where my mom's from. And so we lived up there for about 6 to 8 months, and then we moved back.
I'm surprised you haven't moved, or you've been there the whole time.
Yeah. Well, you know, once you kind of lay roots, you know, now we do travel a lot. And so eventually our plan is to move towards Florida, so, you know, towards the beach. As I get up into retirement age, we're already starting to look at property down that way. So,
because are you playing at different dueling piano bars, or is it mainly, because I mean, you're all over the place in Arkansas, and I mean, you're all over.
Different ones. So I was a house player here for Ernie Biggs and Willie D's for combined almost 10 years. And then I started when we opened the restaurant last year. I went what they call freelance. And so now, like I've got dates in Tulsa, Oklahoma at Shady Keys. I play at Sweet Caroline's down in Bossier City. I just got back from Columbus, Ohio, the piano bar up there. So, yeah, I play different ones all over the country now.
Yeah, it's impressive. Go and check out her dates. They're on her Facebook page. And also, if you go to her website, PamelaHopkinsMusic.com, she's got some of them on there as well. Well, you're playing in wineries, bars. Is there different crowds? What do you like playing better?
So when I do the wineries, you know, I do a solo show. So a lot of times when I play, say even at like my restaurant, it's just me and my drummer. And same thing with the wineries. I enjoy having a partner, like doing a dueling kind of thing, but I also enjoy having, you know, just my solo act, because I'll do 2 or 3 hours, you know, solo act. Like if I play at a Loft Hotel, their little WXYZ bar, it's just me and my drummer, and so then I take all the requests, and I kind of do my own thing. When you have a partner, there's kind of like a show format. So when you do a dueling piano, you know, show, you're bouncing back and forth between you and your partner, and, you know, making the jokes and all that. When you're solo, it's just a different vibe. I don't even know how to explain it or what the preferred is. I enjoy having a partner, but I also enjoy doing my own thing, you know, where I don't have to do what they tell me to do, or, you know, like I said, I don't know how to explain it, because it's kind of more, when we all talk about the differences, it's more like detailed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I saw you played one show recently, and you said they knew all the new Taylor Swift songs, and you knew all the old ones, so that worked.
Right. That's the benefit. That's the benefit of having a partner, because you can cover more songs. Yeah. Everybody kind of has their niche in kind of what they play. For me, I'm all over the place, but like my hole in my repertoire is going to be like 90s grunge, or what I consider grunge, Red Hot Chili Peppers, things like that. But so my partner sometimes will pick that up. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I got that. So you can cover more with a dueling partner. But, you do have to kind of subscribe to the show format more when you do that and try not to step on your partner's toes. Yeah. Definitely a finesse that you have to master.
Oh, yeah. Bouncing off each other. Go and check her out. Pamela Hopkins. She's at PamelaHopkinsMusic.com. She's on Facebook, Instagram. Her latest single, Walk of Honor, is out now. Well, you mentioned partners. You like co-writing. And it's kind of funny. You said that since you do so many cover songs, that kind of, I think you put a lot of thought in when you actually write an original song.
I do. So because I do so many covers, my fear is copying something that unknowingly, And so a lot of times having co-writers, they could say, wait, because then you have three brains going, wait, that sounds like this song, or that sounds like that song. We got to steer away from that, or, hey, I know this song and I think that idea is already taken and we need to steer away from, the storyline they did if we're going to have this idea. Because obviously eventually themes are going to repeat, over the vast amount of songs there are out there in the world. So having a co-writer for me just ensures that I think more of my authentic voice shines through versus like, did I hear this somewhere else and I don't realize I heard it somewhere else, Yeah. So just having those other brains to go in and say, no, I've not heard that before, or, wait, let's go a different direction.
Yeah. You've been up for an Arkansas Country Music Award, but you're up for a new one for the new single Walk of Honor. That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. We're up for Country Song of the Year for that particular song, and I'm really, really excited about that because it's the first time I've had my writing and ideas recognized for, at least for Arkansas. Now, I did win a Josie Award for Country Song of the Year for a duo or group for the song Little Things that I recorded with Matt Dame. And Matt Dame is the lead singer for the Steel Drivers. And if you don't know who they are, that's where Chris Stapleton, that was one of his first bands, was the Steel Drivers. So he's the lead singer for them now. And so him and I and Trapped in Harvey wrote Little Things, which, like I said, got Country Song for a duo or group for the Josie Awards. But this is the first time in Arkansas I've been recognized. They only choose 5, and we're up, 1 of 5. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. Well, you working with Kenny Royster in Nashville. Did you work with him on Walk of Honor?
I did. He has helped record my last 3 songs, and then my upcoming one that's going to be released in probably May.
Okay, so you did 4 with him?
That's my next one. Yeah, I've done 4. I've done 2 at a time. As anybody knows, or maybe they don't know, independent recording artists, we pay for our own our own things unless people fund it. And, we don't have a big label behind us, so everything is self-funded. So, we usually do 1 or 2 at a time. If we're lucky, we do 3 or 4, but, it's expensive.
Yeah, no, it's not cheap doing them, that's for sure. I mean, the military, your husband was in the military. Is it a different crowd when you're doing the military tour?
It's all military and their families, yeah. So when we go, that's why we're there. We're on the base. They advertise it as, it's funded through Armed Forces Entertainment, so they have a budget where they send out special events to these bases that are usually a little bit more remote. For instance, like, when we go to Alaska, a lot of times we're at a place called Clear, which is in the middle of nowhere. And so we're on a bus for an hour and a half, 2 hours from the airport in this little bitty dot, because they don't have the luxuries of going out to town and having any kind of entertainment. They're stuck, and it's Alaska. So, it's 40 below. And yeah, so they send us to those places. The tour management team that we go through, which is Pro Tour Productions, she's the one that also sends out all of the cheerleaders during the Super Bowl time. So they get the cheerleaders and the NFL, Hall of Famers that go out and visit and sign. And then they do, soccer players, and, they do all these things as kind of a morale building thing for the base. And so we just happen to be part of their team that gets to go out and do this for our military.
Wow. And do you get to enjoy Hawaii some when you're there?
About a half a day. If we're lucky, we'll get a whole day. But generally, when they try to schedule it, they try to schedule us a whole day off in each place so we can kind of sightsee. But sometimes it doesn't happen. When we were in Korea last year, we just, we were on a bus the whole time. So it was going from one base so our day off was actually traveling. So we didn't get to see a whole lot. So you just kind of use like your daytime and then you perform at night kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. It's business trip. That's what it is. What do your kids think of you, Pamela?
I'm just mom. I don't think they think anything. My friends, or some of I'd say friend fans, that like when I do even like the winery or I do different stuff, they're like, "Your mom's so cool. Do you not think she's so cool?" They're like, "No, it's just mom." It's mom.
Well, that's good. They don't think you've lost your mind or anything, or.
No, well, that's a story for a different day. There are decisions that I make that sometimes are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm growing." Take note. I'm growing. This is what we're doing.
We'll let you know how it goes afterwards. Go and check her out, Pamela Hopkins. She's at PamelaHopkinsMusic.com. Her latest single, Walk of Honor, is out now. Before we play it, Pamela, tell us about the song.
So just to kind of give you the background of how I came up with the idea, I was scrolling TikTok one night after I got home from the restaurant and kind of decompressing and came across, they just show you stuff. And if you like it, they show you more of that stuff. And so I saw this mother who was holding her baby and she was walking down a hospital hallway and there were doctors and nurses lined up on the side. And it was playing music in the background and it was talking about what an honor walk was. And I was like, okay, what is this? I've never seen it. And as she's walking, the story goes, basically I'm having to give my child, let my child pass, and we're donating the organs. And I thought that's so sad, but at the same time, kind of a happy situation too for other people because it's selfless and somebody else is going to live. And so I followed the hashtag and I watched, probably 30 more videos of the same thing, started crying, getting all in my feels. And I was like, I have to write this song, about this because I want to bring awareness to organ donation. I've had a friend that passed away. She hit a tree and she donated her organs. I've also had my nephew who donated his kidney to his best friend. And just realizing, how important it is that if we're not going to be using our organs anymore, obviously it's our time to go, that just signing that part of their driver's license, that says, I want to donate my organs to somebody so they can live. And how important that is. And then also bringing awareness to drunk driving because you have to have a story in country music. Everybody knows that. It's got to be a story. And so the story basically is a mother who is having to let go and allow her child to pass on and also donate her organs. And it's about forgiveness as well because in our story, it's the person who caused the accident is getting some, one of her organs, whichever one is needed. It doesn't state. It's kind of vague. I do want to say, though, in real life, it wouldn't happen that way because you can't explain everything in a 3-minute song, Yeah. So you kind of have to fast forward and make it happen. But, kind of bring awareness to drunk driving and our actions of even if it's not drunk driving, just, carelessness can cause the death of somebody else. And being aware of that. And then also if, the story of just allowing yourself to let go and some forgiveness, is kind of where we went with it.
It's an awesome song. You're going to hear it right now. Go and follow her. Go and check her out. PamelaHopkinsMusic.com. Pamela, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's Walk of Honor. It's KIX 96.5.